Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Pastor Shane Explains. And today I want to answer the question, is COVID-19, that is the coronavirus, a judgment from God? Is COVID-19, the coronavirus, a judgment from God? Now, if you look on the internet these days, there's a ton of people who say that the answer is emphatically yes. This is God's judgment on an immoral world, immoral society. The COVID-19 is his way of showing his displeasure with the continuing immorality in the world, disobedience to the Ten Commandments, etc., etc. There's no doubt that in the past, God has indeed sent disease as a judgment upon people. There's no doubt about that. I think of the Egyptians in the book of Exodus. I think of the Israelites. In the Old Testament, God would send them judgments in the form of disease. Miriam, Moses' sister, was stricken with leprosy. Even in the New Testament, Ananias and Sapphira, although I don't know if you'd call it a disease, they were struck dead. All of these things did happen, and thus there is some precedent. One could look just kind of on the surface and say, yeah, this is a judgment from God. But there's a couple of problems with that interpretation. Number one, as far as we know, a lot of Christians have died from COVID-19. Now, let that sink in for a moment. In other words, if this is a judgment from God, it certainly doesn't seem to be picking and choosing who dies and who doesn't, who gets sick and who doesn't. There are literally probably millions of people that have been infected with it, and as far as I know, there's no indication at all that only pagans or atheists are getting this disease. It does not seem to discriminate based upon religious belief or immorality versus morality. That's one big problem. Secondly, and this is probably the one that for me is the clincher, in the Bible, when God sent a judgment in the form of disease, those who received the disease knew it. God made it clear. The Egyptians, Moses was sent to them, Moses and Aaron, they made it very clear. God is going to send this plague upon you. This is why it's happening. It's coming from him. They knew it. The Israelites, same thing. Moses told them, it's because of your disobedience that this is now happening to you. Miriam, same thing. She knew why the leprosy was given to her. Even Ananias and Sapphira, in their last moments, they were told, it's because you've tried to deceive God that this judgment, this physical judgment is coming upon you. To the best of my knowledge, there is no global message from God to the world saying, COVID-19 is my judgment upon you for, and then fill in the blank. As far as I know, that's not there. Is COVID-19 a result of being in a sinful world? Absolutely. It's certainly not God's plan. Is it a result of people's sin, however? You know, certainly at this point, I would have to say emphatically no. If God wishes to change things in the future and send a message to the world somehow that says this is a judgment from me, then obviously that's God's prerogative. But at this point, I would have to say definitely no. COVID-19, the coronavirus, is not a judgment from God. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on Pastor Shane Explains.